I want to be compared to this guy. From the game to the mannerisms, Michael Jordan has weighed in, quote, "I'm in shock over the tragic news of Kobe and Gianna's passing. Words can't describe the pain I'm feeling. I loved Kobe. He was like a little brother to me. We used to talk often, and I will miss those conversations very much." Jordan went on to say, "I am in shock over the tragic news of their passing." Once again, this is the first part of the statement that I just recited. "Words can't describe the pain I'm feeling. His love for Kobe, he was like a little brother to me. We used to talk often, and I will miss those conversations very much." Yvette, that's his wife, joins me in sending my deepest condolences to Vanessa, the Lakers organization, and basketball fans around the world. Kobe Bryant, dead at the age of 41. Michael, survived by his wife and his 3 daughters, Bianca Bella, Natalia Diamante, and Capri Kobe Bryant.
13-year-old Gianna, also on that helicopter crash on the way to a basketball game today that Kobe was going to participate in with the youth squad for Gigi. We talk about Kobe's legacy and we link it to Michael Jordan and we link it to LeBron James, and that's fine because of the generation in which Kobe came into the league. But Kobe was unquestionably his own man. He was relentless in his approach. He was uncompromising in his work ethic, and he did it his way. If no one else did, it was going to be the way Kobe Bryant thought was best. Social issues sometimes with friends and teammates, but he was who he was. But with his kids and his family, he was the father that you would want. And for his young daughter, his oldest, Gianna, 13 years old, to also die with him in that helicopter crash today. Again, just so hard for so many people to accept that Kobe Bryant is dead at the age of 41.
There were 8 games in the NBA today. Was there any chance of canceling any of them, postponing any of them in light of all the news? We'll get to that in a second. I know Ramona Shelburne's been working this story. She covered Kobe Bryant's entire career and his post-career. She had a fantastic piece on him when he turned 40 about the next stage of his life and everything that was to come. And she joins us here on SportsCenter. I know the last time we talked, Ramona, you were on your way to the scene. I obviously see the Sheriff's Department sign behind you. What have you gleaned since you've arrived at the scene?
Well, one of the biggest revelations that we heard was that there were actually 9 people on the manifest of the helicopter when it crashed. And the sheriff here said that initially when the helicopter crashed, that firefighters had to hike up a hill because it was kind of a brush, it was a hill behind me, and they had to put out this fire. The fire was burning very hot, and it was very hard to put out because of the presence of magnesium, which when it interacts with water, makes it burn even hotter. At the same time, though, paramedics were able to get to where the crash site was and evaluate if there were any survivors. And at that point, they evaluated that there were no survivors of the crash, and the firefighters continued to try to put out the quarter of an acre brush fire that was on the hillside. Now, I actually visited the crash site earlier, and I can tell you it was very foggy there. There will be an investigation as to what caused this, but one of the residents who lived across the street in an apartment building said he heard the helicopter going by. It was shortly before 10 a.m., and he didn't think much of it because helicopters do fly through there sometimes. There's a sheriff's station right here. It's not uncommon, but he heard the sound of something falling, and he said something seemed off with the way that helicopter sound. He went outside, he was on the phone, and he saw the crash moments later. And so obviously there's a lot of investigation here to come as to what caused that helicopter to go down. We believe it was on its way to a basketball game where his daughter Gigi was playing in the Mamba Academy, which is just about 15 minutes north of here.
You know, Ramona, all that information that you just said was brought forth by Darrell Osby, the LA County Fire Chief. He was mum on a lot of other factors. We'll wait to see exactly what happens in the days to come. There are 8 games in the NBA today. 2 are well done. The Nuggets and the Rockets are done. 4th quarter for the Raptors and the Spurs. Celtics and Pelicans are on ESPN. A handful of games have just begun as we speak. Was there any talk from the reporting you have and the sources you have, because of the outpouring of emotion from NBA players, especially ones that are currently in the league and have to focus, that they may not play games today? Clearly that's not what happened. Was there any discussion?
Yeah, there was, and from my understanding, there were games that were about to tip off right when this news broke and came around, it was shocking for everybody involved and all the rest of the games that were going to be played that day. And there was conversations between the league and each of the teams and the general managers, because the players on both sides were shaken. I mean, they were so emotional in what Kobe meant to them. Some of them knew him personally. Some only knew him as Kobe the legend, because obviously he retired 4 years ago. But there were discussions about whether or not they could play these games. And that would be obviously an incredibly unprecedented thing. The only other time the NBA has not played a game is when President Kennedy was assassinated many years ago. And so the teams decided to play on. I know there's still an ongoing discussion about what the Lakers and Clippers will do. Their next game is Tuesday at Staples Center. But obviously everybody's hearts are heavy, and especially so with the Lakers organization.
No question. We'll continue to monitor it. Last thing for you, only because I think you're the perfect person to ask this. You're an Angelino by birth. Kobe's an Angelino by heart, I think, after spending more than 20 years there. You covered his career, post-career, as I mentioned. You've been around it from beginning to end. Your thoughts on how you would sum up the legacy of Kobe Bryant and what he meant to basketball?
Well, Kobe over the years is somebody that I covered, but over the, we got to be friends towards the end, and especially so after he retired. We would text each other. When my son was born, he was one of the first people to text me, and always wanted to send videos of our children. And I think, that I just got a call a little while ago from Candace Parker, who plays for the LA Sparks. She came here and she's played her whole entire career here, and she said, when she needed something, she would always text Kobe. She would always ask his advice. Before she won her first championship with the Sparks, she reached out to Kobe and just needed some inspiration. And I can't tell you how many times over the course of my career, other athletes' careers, especially here in Los Angeles, that you knew Kobe was a text away. And when he knew it was important, he always got back to you, and he always knew what to say. I'll never forget Jeannie Buss telling me when she was at one of her lowest moments, when the team was flailing and her father had just died, the person she called was Kobe. And I think it's just his indomitable will, his ability to compartmentalize and focus on and rise above whatever was in front of him. And so you talk about this Mamba mentality and the legacy that he leaves. That's what he was focused on right now. After we're here and at this press conference now, we're going to drive to the Mamba Academy, because that's what he wanted his legacy to be. He was writing children's books. He was doing podcasts for kids. He wanted children, the next generation players in this league, to understand what it took to be Kobe Bryant, and for that to carry on. That's what he wanted his legacy to be. And now, he did so much since he retired. I kept telling him to slow down. Like, enjoy your retirement, man. Go on a vacation or two. I'm really glad that he produced as much as he did after he retired, because we have that to remember him by.
Yeah, with that indomitable work ethic, I don't think he was going to stop working, even if Ramona had asked him to. This generation loving Kobe Bryant, the next generation will bear the fruits of everything he brought to basketball. That's our Ramona Shelburne on the life of Kobe Bryant.
On SportsCenter, Fizz, look, you've been courtside for so many of those matchups against Kobe Bryant, either as assistant coach or just a fan sometimes watching Kobe play during the playoffs and stuff. How do you put into perspective what this man was able to accomplish on a basketball court?
You can't. It's stuff that legends are made of. You talk about a kid that came out of high school to a historic organization. He's following in the footsteps of just some of the greatest players that's ever played the game. And he wanted to be the best of all of them. And through his work ethic, through his determination, through his incredible talent, he put himself right up there at the top. And, I was just lucky enough to be a part of some of those games. He kept me up a lot of nights getting prepared on how to just slow him down. And rarely did we ever. And, I know what he meant to Dwayne and LeBron and Chris Bosh, spending time with him at the Olympics, and, the way he mentored those guys and the way he took time out to really try to share, what he knew with other players and to grow them. I know that was invaluable to them. And I can only imagine what they're going through today. The only one I've texted with so far and talked to is Dwayne, but what LeBron must be going through right now after breaking his record and knowing that bond and that friendship that they had, all of our hearts are just broken.
Dave, that's some really good insight, and I wish you could expand a little bit more on that, because, when Dwayne Wade and and LeBron were coming up, clearly they looked at Kobe Bryant as an idol or something to aspire to in terms of their career. But once they got in the league, they're also competing against him as well. I remember the Christmas Day game when Shaq had gone to Miami for the first time, and Dwayne Wade was the guy who really closed out that game that Miami won in Shaq's return. But then you brought up the opportunity that they had to share the court together with the Olympic squad. How did they approach Kobe, and what did they glean from him in those moments that impacted their careers from that point going forward?
It's funny, man. You know, you look at these guys as these icons and these great players in their own right, and I can tell you for sure that they all looked up to him. And what does that say about a Kobe Bryant when you have a LeBron James and a Dwayne Wade looking up to you? And what I think he really taught them was, you know, one, don't cheat the game. You know, put in the time to be great. You know, it's just not going to be happening because it's not going to happen just because you show up. And know your history. You know, what people don't really understand about Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and Dwayne Wade is these guys are basketball encyclopedias. They know everything about the game. They pay tribute to the ones that came before them, and Kobe instilled that in them in a lot of ways. And, you know, for him not to be around to be able to share what he knows to the younger generations and to the generations to come, you know, it's just such a huge hole that's left in the game of basketball and left in all of us, you know, especially us people from Los Angeles. What he meant to our city, and you know, the Lakers are the heartbeat of LA. And if the Lakers are the heartbeat of LA, then Kobe Bryant was the blood running through it. And you know, you can go outside the studio right now. I had to film it because it makes sense, because that's what LA folks do. They came out, and they're not, you know, it's very somber outside. You know, it's not a lot of noise. It's just an eerie day.